What it do, everybody? As promised, here's a video on how we find solid levels. I'm gonna show you guys SPY. Maybe I'll chart some Tesla as well, but essentially, I always like to start on a weekly. First, you want to mark out the highs. Oops, that's not the tool I wanted. Mark out the highs. Let me make these solid properties. Mark out the high. You know, a low. Obviously, we don't really need this, but all-time high, some lows. We're probably never gonna touch this. If we do, we're in trouble. But the next thing I want to do on this weekly chart, and I want to look for pivot areas. So areas where candlesticks touched a bunch of times, a few candlesticks, and then we had a major move off it. So as you can see here, we rejected, came down here again. As you can see, this level, as I drew it right here, I went off this, but when you look over to more recently, we used it as resistance for a few weeks, broke above it, used it as support, and we rocketed off it, right? This is at 275 level. Now, this is another level to look at, this 300. It's a psychological level, but as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 7 weeks of candles here. Whether they use it as resistance or support at one point, this is a nice level right here. We can use this level right here, 400, another psychological, obviously, round number. 440 right here, 442, say 444-ish right here. It doesn't have to be accurate on a weekly. We're just trying to find out the major areas first. I marked out 446, 47 around there because we had some taps right here, and the support. Same goes for here. These are lows, so I'm not really worried about marking out too many of these. But on the weekly, essentially, I found some nice solid levels right here. Some pivot levels, maybe right here. Another one, right here ish. Like I said, doesn't have to be super accurate. Then I want to move down to my daily. Now in here, you're gonna find a lot more levels. Here we have a gap, so I'll mark this because we're going to use that as support in the future. If it ever comes down to filling this gap, you'll see this as support. So as you can see, after we gapped up here, we've used it as support. We haven't been able to break below it, so same with the gap up area right here. A few touches here. This is the major gap up right here, so we'll mark that. Let's zoom out real quick again. So now, more recently, I want to go into these levels. Daily, you can see 427-ish right here. Oops. Possibly, 415, 416 area. And like I said, on these dailies, you're just trying to find some areas where stock prices touched it a few times and had trouble breaking over it. 464, 465. Sorry. Again, this is like we're approaching these levels, so I want to kind of mark them out. So 465, 460, around there. As we move towards lower time frames, you'll start to see these daily levels holding up. This is the 4 hours. You can see, boom, boom, boom. What you're gonna want to do is basically adjust levels here, if they need to. I mean, I don't really care for adjusting, but here's 470, 473-ish right here. Essentially, what I'm looking for is reversal areas where stock is bounced or had trouble breaking through or uses support. As you can see, boom, right here. This was a breakout. Previous resistance broke out, held, moved up to the next level. Used this as resistance for a while. Broke above it, used as support, broke above, used as support, broke above, used as support. As we've broken below again, we use it as resistance for just a little time, and then we broke right back above. Again, moving down hourly, you're going to look for more areas. So right here, as you can see, stock has kind of bounced off a couple times here. Boom, boom. Use this some type of resistance here too. You're going to look for areas like this, like boom, right here. Bunch of candlesticks, 434, possibly right here, 438. You know, you just want to mark out as much as you can. Now you want to keep it as clean as you can too, because you don't want to start cluttering and marking every single thing, especially on the hourly. As we get to these lower time frames, you don't need to mark out every single thing. And here's why I tell you guys that is because once we get down into the 15 minute, 5 minute, I'm not marking down any big areas. What I like to do beforehand, every day I start with marking out, previous days resistance, support, and then the pre-market high, which looks like it's about right here and right here, pre-market low. I'll mark these out, but obviously I'm going to change these properties. I want to be able to differentiate them. Save as default. Okay, this one's a pre-market high. Boom. Yesterday's support and resistance. Sorry guys, I know my chart's a little bit getting cluttered here, but what I do is I go based off these. So these were hourly levels right here, 452, right? 454, 452 area. This is kind of like a demand area. As you can see, price is usually rejected in this area. But what I did was I marked the pre-market high, pre-market low, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. I'm not going to mark this. You'll have more marked as you do this every day, and mark little levels, intraday levels. You can always delete them and do do them over again for the previous days, because these aren't going to be levels that stick around when we get like a week out. The hourly levels are going to be the more important ones, and you can update those once a week or whatever. But then when the day starts, what I look for is, okay, pre-market high, pre-market low. We opened right above the pre-market high and we ran. So as you can see, when I look at my chart, I know that there's a big level coming up here. So what I'm going to do is I hop in because we're above the VWAP. Watch, let me change my. So when I'm trading throughout the day, I use a 200 moving average and then the VWAP. So 200 EMA and a VWAP. So we open above pre-market high, yesterday's high, and we're basically riding this VWAP right here up. So I took because we showed strength, we ran all the way up. I know that there's a big level coming here on the hourly. I'm gonna start trimming my positions here, stopping out, putting stop losses, right at the VWAP. You see, we came down, we kind of tested it, and then you could have cut out right here on this bounce, or use some stop losses. But once we broke below the VWAP, we went all the way down again, and we tested the pre-market low and yesterday's low. So knowing that I have some levels down here, if we don't hold, I can take some puts to the downside. We don't have much room, so we held this level. Thankfully, you could have taken some more calls here, as we can see. We went right back over to 200 EMA. I usually don't take calls right off of a candle like this. I want to see some confirmation. Probably wouldn't even taken it off this, because yes, it's a hammer candle with continuation, but we had this big wick right here, which means it rejected right here. I'm looking for a break back over pre-market high. So pre-market high and yesterday's high, VWAP. This is all confirmation right here. Three solid levels: pre-market high, yesterday's high, and VWAP. Broke above. We came back, retested this, and then we rocketed back up to that previous hourly resistance. Couldn't hold it. Came back down. Tested the VWAP. Once we broke below it, we could have taken puts right here, because as you can see, it broke the VWAP. Retested. Continued to break down, and then went back down the pre-market low, never broke pre-market low. So that's essentially how my day goes. When you're jumping into plays, you want to make sure it has more than one confirmation. You see, volume came in at open. We were above the VWAP, above the pre-market high, above yesterday's high. So we could have taken calls right here, wrote them up. It's a scalp. Experienced traders take it. We didn't take it. I didn't take it. I waited for. We actually kind of got screwed over on Friday. I didn't follow my rules, and I jumped in off this bounce of the VWAP and got screwed over because we broke down. This was a strong sign. I should have taken this big wick as a rejection. Didn't. Ended up losing some money, but that's part of trading. You're not going to win every single trade. What you want to do is maximize your chances of winning these trades by finding these levels and using confirmation. Not just levels, but some indicators. You know, I like VWAP just because it takes volume into account, and I like 200 just because if we're above that, it's a bullish day. If we're below that, we're kind of on a bearish day. But as you can see, it's been kind of choppy this past week, so it's been hard to gauge. Like, this is a trend down day. As you can see, we were down below it the entire time. We had multiple entries on this day. Once we broke below VWAP, we never went back above it. Every time we touched the VWAP, you could have gone into puts and wrote them down, as you can see. Boom, boom, boom. Every time would have been some really good plays, some really banger plays, as you can say. But yeah, this is essentially how to find levels. This is how we. Oh, sorry. This isn't even SPY. This is NVDA. Gosh. Well, anyway, here are levels on NVDA. Pretty accurate, as you can see. I was wondering why these numbers weren't showing up the same. But anyway, NVIDIA, you have your levels. Mark them out on your charts. I can even share this later. But I guess we can do SPY real quick as well. Since we did one NVIDIA, we'll do SPY real quick. Again, start with the weekly. Boom. I'm going to change this back to my solid lines because we're at the higher time frame. Again, I mark out the all-time highs. Mark out some other levels. You see, we use this 470 area as resistance. 460, as you can see, it has been twice already. Use this support a few times. Use this sort of some resistance. You're gonna want to find like little pivots right here. This is 452. That's that big 452 level. 453. Some support levels right here. 380. All time, the most recent lows. 370 right here. 410 seems like a big level. Bounced off it a few times, as you can see. And this just becomes easier. It becomes second nature as you do it. So 403. What I'll do is I'll mark this, but I know that 400 is a big psychological level. As you can see, we had a gap here below before. I'll use this as well. Can obviously adjust it later, but here's another one, 444, 443. We've used this as resistance recently. As you can see, previously it's been support, it's been resistance, it's been support. So this is what you're looking for. Go down to the daily, do the same thing on the daily. As you can see, as I went from the weekly to the daily, those levels held, man. So here's another one, 430, boom. Resistance, resistance. And then we use this support. So this is what you're looking for when you're marking out levels. 392 right here. So these levels, they'll start implanting into your head. Right now, when we go back down to, if we ever go back below 400s, I pretty much remember these because these are recent levels that I've marked out. And I remember having huge, resistance areas. Like, look at this choppiness we had between 400 and this 415 level. We had trouble breaking above 400 and below 400. So we chopped for a few days, and then we eventually broke out, broke back down, broke up. But anyway, that's what you want to do. You want to get into the 4 hour. And then, as you can see, you see some more levels in here, 450, 448. Get into the hourly. Again, start finding some hourly levels right here. 456. Maybe it's 454. Right here, 450, I'd say. And then again, what I do every day before market opens, mark out pre-market high. Properties. So our pre-market high kind of coincides with yesterday's high, the previous day's high. So technically, I don't mark these because this is early on in the morning. I want to mark these levels because they're more recent in pre-market. We couldn't break above this. Again, we had big levels on here on the hourly. I couldn't mark it out, but as you can see, 452, we're approaching those areas. I'll mark these out because I know they're a big level on the daily. I just never marked them out. But anyway, as you go through, boom, we broke. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Move drawing. Let's get back. So, SPY, boom. When the day opened, we tested this VWAP and held. We broke above pre-market high. We ran up. Could have taken profit here as we're approaching that 452 level. You want to start taking profit. We broke back down below the VWAP. You could have rode puts all the way down to pre-market low where we bounced again right above the VWAP, rode all the way up to more resistance, take profit, same thing. We broke below the pre-market low, so we broke below lows. At this point, what you're looking at is once we break pre-market lows and yesterday's lows, you want to start looking at your daily chart and see where your next support is, which is 444. 446 is, I believe, a support level as well. So I don't have them all marked out on this one because I just started doing this. But if I go to my where are you? I think it's in here. No, sorry. Let me see. I have a bunch of levels marked out. As you can see, me and Dan actually drew these levels out. 444, big level right there. So that's what you're looking for. But before the day starts, I always double check, pre-market high, pre-market low, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. And if we have some solid levels in the previous day, like as you can see, the high of, Wednesday, I believe this was a lot higher than where we were the next day. So what I like to do is also find intraday levels that I can mark out like this right here. Once we broke down, we use this as a resistance at 452. This is where it came from. Big level. We held, as you go along and build out your levels on these charts, you're gonna have these levels marked out, and you're gonna see throughout the day as it respects those levels. So if I zoom back out to the hourly, this is something me and Dan drew. Obviously, we need to update it, so that's why I like to go to the ones I just drew out. I believe it was in here. When you go to weekly, you'll see it clutter, but as you go down progressively to the 4 hour and stuff, you'll see these levels respect each other. These are weekly levels and daily levels that are holding up on the 4 hour chart. Of course, you can find some more levels like 436. These are intraday levels that you can use for taking profit on weekly contracts. But if you're playing, a month out on contracts or 2 months out, these intraday levels aren't going to mean much. They're gonna go back to these daily and weekly levels is what you want to use for swing strategies. But to make a long story short, this is how you make levels. You want to find pivot points, areas where candlesticks have touched a bunch of times and not either not been able to break above or below, and you mark those out and you progress down. I don't like to mark out anything below the hourly, like on a large time frame. I use a 5 to 15 minute chart to find pre-market and previous day levels that I can use intraday to find entries and profit targets. So that's how you do it. If you guys have any other questions, any other stocks you guys want me to look at, please comment in Discord or on the YouTube video, and I won't make a video, but I'll try to do some screenshotting, do some analysis, and post it in Discord or on Twitter for you guys to see. But anyway, love you all. Peace out. See you Monday.